We start at 4 o'clock with a man who died under the weight of 4 security officers. Those officers originally faced criminal charges, but they were eventually dropped.
Today, the widow of the man who died filed a lawsuit that suggests a major Colorado health system is to blame for her husband's death. 9 News investigative reporter Chris Vanderveen has spent years probing so-called prone restraint deaths, and you've talked about that here and around the country. And Chris, this man was held down on his stomach for many minutes by security guards inside a hospital in Pueblo last year.
St. Mary Corwin, to be precise, in spring of last year. Prone restraint is a common restraint technique when trying to arrest someone. You hold them down, face down, usually in an attempt to handcuff that someone. I want to show you some surveillance video from inside the lobby of the Pueblo Hospital, February 2021. The man in the shorts, Matthew Haskell Jones, he was there for treatment for gout. Staff saw him, and after that, he waited in that short-sleeved shirt and shorts in the lobby, apparently waiting for a ride. 4 security guards talked to him for a while. There's no audio here, and then at some point, they pushed him toward the front door. Eventually, they got him to the ground. We're going to stop the video there. For minutes, they held him prone, face down. He stopped breathing, was revived, and died about a week later. So why does this all matter? Well, for years, we have documented the deaths of more than 100 people around the country who died under the knees, elbows, and bodies of people trying to restrain them. Police were warned in the mid-90s that people can die this way. And yet, we found the practice has continued, resulting in more than $100 million in settlements and verdicts. Back to Pueblo, where the widow says hospital staff didn't exactly tell her the truth.
A manager told me that Matt had got agitated and coded, and they hit the ground, and he hit the ground, and he hit the ground hard. They didn't tell me that he was attacked by their staff or that he was held down with the forearm buried in his neck until he couldn't breathe. They lied.
4 security officers and on. I don't want to show you all the video. I do want to show you the still frame from it. One of the officers holding Jones down with his forearm on the back of Jones's neck. An autopsy concluded not much other than Jones lost oxygen to his brain and died. The coroner also cited his weight and meth in his system. Now, we reached out to the owner of the hospital, Centura Health, and received a statement that read, in part, "We extend our deepest condolences to the family," and then went on to cite patient confidentiality and pending litigations as reason to not comment further. Again, as you noted at the beginning, these officers were originally charged. Those charges were dropped, and now the widow says this is the next logical step to go in the civil court process to try to see if she can get a remedy there. This is a long process, could take years, but in the end may get some more answers as to what happened.
Why were the charges dropped? Is there any sort of explanation as to where those went?
The DA went on the record down there and said that he didn't have enough information that he felt like at the time could successfully lead to a prosecution. So originally brought on and then dropped, and now so those security officers have not faced any criminal prosecution now beyond that. And now here we are in the civil process trying to get some answers. Again, this is a lengthy process that can take some time, but it's a good process to better understand what happened, because at the end of the day, an individual did die once again while being held prone.
And I know most of the cases, almost all, right, are involving police officers on the streets that you have discovered, not in this kind of a setting.
Yeah, we have seen some incidents involving security, but mostly this is
But not
police.
in a hospital?
In a hospital, no.
Yeah, there are so many questions. I mean, obviously, we look at these things through a different lens now. Since you've done the series, as a matter of fact, we see this through a different lens. But also, this is a hospital. I mean, if someone really goes into some sort of physical trauma, they're in the right place, theoretically.
Theoretically. They also transferred him to a different hospital after all this happened, and again, he died 8 days later. But again, they were there quickly with medical attention, but he stopped breathing, and it certainly appears as if the lack of oxygen to the brain, and that's what was cited in the autopsy, led to the death. But again, how do people die once held prone, and why aren't more people aware of this problem? That's what's really been the central issue. A lot of people don't do this intentionally, but it happens at the end of it.
Well, they all seem avoidable.
Right.
They all seem avoidable. All right, Chris. We know you're going to follow it.
We will.
We'll look for more on that. Thanks. Well, today in Washington, the House passed a tentative rail agreement that puts the brakes on a potential strike. The bill passed by a 290 to 137 vote, 79 Republicans voting alongside the Democrats. There were 8 Democrats who voted against the proposal. The provision to the rail agreement that calls for adding more paid sick days for workers also passed the House on Wednesday by a slimmer vote. We'll hear more from Alice Barr in Washington. That's coming up at 4:30. Well, the snow's starting to somewhat melt away. Taking a live look at Denver right now. Some sunshine, a lot of blue skies. Still cold, but the warm-up is on the way.
And it's melting in places, and you discover the ice?
You do.
If you're walking, Kathy,
Sometimes
perhaps?
by accident.
Yes, you're like, whoa, that's slick.
You take the dog out for a walk, and you're looking out and not down, and pretty soon you're down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another reason to keep your eyes down sometimes.
Sometimes when you're tall and klutzy like me, it just doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? You're going down anyway. But it was a beautiful day after a very cold start. You guys, we started at 4 above 0 in Denver, but look at the low in Sydney, -6, -6 in Greeley this morning, -12 in Gunnison. So certainly a very cold start to this day, but abundant sunshine, a better drive home tonight, less snow and ice down here, and the mountains are bracing for another round of moderate snow. This is the system taking aim at Colorado once again from the northwest. This system will be a big wind producer for us here on Friday, but the high country is going to see some decent accumulation. Current readings, we're getting there. DIA could not get out of the 20s today, but downtown Denver, mid-30s. We'll see these numbers come up about 10 to 20 degrees tomorrow. Gusty winds over the foothills, but the high wind watch is going to go out for us late Thursday through Friday morning. Gusts to 40 miles per hour as those southwest winds increase ahead of that mountain storm. Calm and quiet tonight, mid-20s, sliding right down into the dinner hour. And in Maine weather coming up, a cool, calm evening. Slow warming trend kicks off tomorrow, and I'll detail the mountain snow forecast coming up.
Sounds good.
Pay attention.
For that.
It's this time of year. Pay attention. Thanks, Kathy. It has now been more than 5 months since someone's vandalized and set a Longmont Pregnancy Center on fire. Police say they still don't know who did it. Well, now the FBI is increasing the reward for more information.
The center provided women with alternatives to abortion. The arson happened the day after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. 9 News reporter Cole Sullivan joins us now with police, and you spoke to police about they need the public's help right now to make sure they can figure out what happened. They've tried everything else.
Yeah, Kim, they say it's not just Longmont police that have tried everything. The FBI has been involved from the start as well. The Longmont chief thinks it was more than one suspect, and here's why. The graffiti left behind is in different handwriting. One set is in cursive, one is in, it was not. One reads, "Bands off our bodies," and the other, if you saw it earlier, says, if abortions aren't safe, neither are you. The arson happened just after 3 o'clock in the morning on June 25th at Life Choices in Longmont. Today, the building is still boarded up, and police still don't know who did it. The chief says they've got lots of leads, but no suspects, and they've tested evidence, including the spray paint itself.
Went to all our hardware stores and looked at sales, who was, and tried to say, all right, who bought paint that day, and then we contacted those people. And that's a lot of work in itself. Yeah.
So now they need the public's help with any tips. The FBI is pitching in $17,500, bringing the total reward to $20,000. The chief says investigators did get some surveillance video from neighbors in that area at the time, but the chief says they've gone through that video and they've cleared every single person they see on it. He wants anyone who knows anything to call Crime Stoppers.
So it's a tough one.
Yeah.
Tough one to crack.
Important, though. Very important.
And they've tried a lot of different things in there. He says that hopefully getting the word out to more folks will help as well.
Yeah, get it out there. All right. Thank you, Cole. Streaming tonight on Paramount Plus is season 2 of Murder Under the Friday Night Lights, and it will be featuring the murder of Denver Bronco cornerback Darren Williams. He was killed in a drive-by shooting on New Year's Day, 2007. He was shot in downtown Denver near 11th and Spear less than 12 hours after the Broncos had played their final game of the 2006 season. He was attending a New Year's Eve party and a birthday party for Denver Nugget Kenyon Martin. Darren Williams had flown in 5 high school friends to town for the party, and Denver police say that before the shooting, there was some kind of a fight between gang members and patrons at the bar at the club. In 2009, Willie Clark was convicted of murdering Darren Williams. He was sentenced to life without parole.
It was such a shocking event. The season had ended just hours before, and then there was an incident involving Brandon Marshall, the wide receiver, had been in the bar that night. And then when they left and the limousine was eventually hit with all that gunfire, Javon Walker, another wide receiver, was in the car as well. But it just jolted everyone. The team was heading its separate ways after the season had ended. And suddenly they had to basically stay together because they had to bury their teammate. It was a shocking case.
So many people still talk about the impact he had in his short life, and I know his son played football for a while in college, and I haven't checked out where he is lately, but you know, the impact the Broncos have continued to keep his legacy alive.
He was very young. He was very young. He was just becoming Darren Williams, the football star, at least for the Broncos.
And it was a long time getting that conviction.
Shocking.
Remember that? Took a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, other sad news to report this afternoon. Fleetwood Mac's Christine McVie has died.
McVie, of course, behind many hits for Fleetwood Mac, both on the keyboard and then singing songs like Little Lies, Don't Stop, many others as well. Her family says that she died peacefully at a hospital in the company of her family. She did leave the band, Fleetwood Mac, after 28 years back in 1998, but returning in 2014. The family posted a statement saying, "We would like everyone to keep Christine in their hearts and remember the life of an incredible human being and revered musician who was loved universally." She was born with the name Christine Perfect, but McVie married Fleetwood Mac bassist John McVie when she joined the group in 1971. She was 79 years old. Of course, Fleetwood Mac, one of the most popular bands ever in the album era of rock and roll, and Christine McVie really a big part of that.
Yeah, huge part of that. And so many people have songs that from them that symbolize a time in our lives.
Yeah.